The Norns in Norse mythology are female beings who rule the destiny of gods and men, possibly a kind of dísir, and comparable to the Moirai in Greek mythology. According to Snorri Sturluson's interpretation of the paragraph Luspa, the three most important Norns, Urðr, Verðandi and Skuld, come out from a hall standing at the Well of Urðr, and they draw water from the well and take sand that lies around it, which they pour over Yggdrasill so that its branches will not rot. These Norns are described as three powerful maiden giantesses whose arrival from paragraph Jötunheimr ended the golden age of the gods. They may be the same as the maidens of paragraph Gar 3/4 Racer who are described in Vafþrúðnismál. Beside these three Norns, there are many other Norns who arrive when a person is born in order to determine his or her future. There were both malevolent and benevolent Norns, and the former caused all the malevolent and tragic events in the world while the latter were kind and protective goddesses. Recent research has discussed the relation between the myths associated with Norns and Valkyries in traveling paragraph LVAS. The Norns were thought to have visited newborn children in the pre-Christian Norse societies. Norns within Skaldic references are often seen as negative beings that are mostly associated with transitional situations such as violent death and battle. In Egil's saga, Kvidulf composes a poem lamenting the loss of his eldest son Thorolf. Here, what is stressed is the personal tragedy felt by Kvidulf and the sense that what happened was out of his control or in the hands of fate. It is presumed that Adagrian has chosen Thorolf to be among his Einherjar, so Beck Pedersen suggests that since Adagrian has caused the death, then the Norn has caused the emotional turmoil. Another negative aspect associated with the Norns is that they are associated with death. Not all aspects of the Norns were negative, however, as they were associated with life and birth as well. Etymology: the origin of the name Norn is uncertain. It may derive from a word meaning to twine, and which would refer to their twining the thread of fate. Beck Pedersen suggests that the word Norn has relation to the Swedish dialect word norna, a verb that means secretly communicate. This relates to the perception of Norns as shadowy, background figures who only really ever reveal their fateful secrets to men as their fates come to pass. The name Urðr means fate. It should be noted that Wyrd and Urðr are etymological cognates, which does not guarantee that Wyrd and Urðr share the same semantic quality of fate over time. Both Urðr and Verðandi are derived from the Old Norse verb verðagria, to be. While Urðr derives from the past tense, Verðandi derives from the present tense of verðagria. Skuld is derived from the Old Norse verb skulla, need ought to be shall be. Its meaning is that which should become, or that needs to occur. Relation to other Germanic female deities. There is no clear distinction between Norns, Fylgjurs, Heimingers and Valkyries, nor with the generic term dísir. Moreover, artistic license permitted such terms to be used for mortal women in Old Norse poetry, or to quote Snorri Sturluson's Skaldskaparmál on the various names used for women. Woman is also metaphorically called by the names of the Asynja or the Valkyrs or Norns or women of supernatural kind. These unclear distinctions among Norns and other Germanic female deities are discussed in Beck Pedersen's book Norns in Old Norse Mythology, as well as, in Leon Aron's article Dísir, Valkyries, Vola, and Norns, the Wise Frauen of the Deutsche Mythology, see references. Attestations. There are a number of surviving Old Norse sources that relate to the Norns. The most important sources are the Prose Edda and the Poetic Edda. The latter contains pagan poetry where the Norns are frequently referred to, while the former contains, in addition to pagan poetry, retellings, descriptions and commentaries by the 12th and 13th century Icelandic chieftain and scholar Snorri Sturluson. Skaldic poetry. A skaldic reference to the Norns appears in Hvini's poem in Ynglingatal 24 found in Ynglingasaga 47, where King Halfdan is put to rest by his men at Boracubed. This reference brings in the phrase Nornir cubed Mr., which means judgment of the Nornir. In most cases, when the Norns pass judgment, it means death to those who have been judged, in this case, Halfdan. Along with being associated with being bringers of death, Beck Pedersen suggests that this phrase brings in a quasi-legal aspect to the nature of the Norns. This legal association is employed quite frequently within skaldic and Eddic sources. This phrase can also be seen as a threat, as death is the final and inevitable decision that the Norns can make with regard to human life. Poetic Edda. The Poetic Edda is valuable in representing older material and poetry from which Snorri tapped information in the Prose Edda. Like Gylfaginning, the Poetic Edda mentions the existence of many lesser Norns beside the three main Norns. Moreover, it also agrees with Gylfaginning by telling that they were of several races and that the Dwarven Norns were the daughters of Dwalin. It also suggests that the three main Norns were giantesses. Fafnismal contains a discussion between the hero Sigurd and the dragon Fafnir, who is dying from a mortal wound from Sigurd. The hero asks Fafnir of many things, among them the nature of the Norns. Fafnir explains that they are many and from several races. It appears from var paragraph Luspa and var 3/4 ra Degrenismael that the three main Norns were not originally goddesses but giantesses, and that their arrival ended the early days of bliss for the gods, but that they come for the good of mankind. Var paragraph Luspa relates that three giantesses of huge might are reported to have arrived to the gods from Jötunheimr. The var 3/4 ra Degrenismael probably refers to the Norns when it talks of maiden giantesses who arrived to protect the people of Earth as protective spirits. The var paragraph Luspa contains the names of the three main Norns referring to them as maidens like the var 3/4 ra Degrenismael probably does, Helgakvia Degrea Hundingsbanai. The Norns visited each newly born child to allot his or her future, and in Helgakvia Degrea Hundingsbanai, the hero Helgi Hundingsbane has just been born and Norns arrive at the homestead, Helgakvia Degrea Hundingsbana II. In Helgakvia Degrea Hundingsbana II, Helgi Hundingsbane blames the Norns for the fact that he had to kill Sigrun's father har paragraph Ni and brother Bragi in order to wed her. Regentsmael, like Snorri Sturluson stated in Gylfaginning, people's fate depended on the benevolence or the malevolence of particular Norns. In Regentsmael, the water-dwelling dwarf Andvari blames his plight on an evil Norn, presumably one of the daughters of Dwalin, Sigurd Degreakvia Degrea Hinskama. Another instance of Norns being blamed for an undesirable situation appears in Sigurd Degreakvia Degrea Hinskama, where the Valkyrie Brynhild blames malevolent Norns for her long yearning for the embrace of Sigurd, Gray Degree Ranakvia Degrea II. Brynhild's solution was to have Gunnar and his brothers, the lords of the Burgundians, kill Sigurd and afterwards to commit suicide in order to join Sigurd in the afterlife. Her brother Atli avenged her death by killing the lords of the Burgundians, but since he was married to their sister Greidagrira, Atli would soon be killed by her. In Greidagrira Nakvia Degrea II, the Norns actively enter the series of events by informing Atli in a dream that his wife would kill him. The description of the dream begins with this stanza, Greidagrira Narhva paragraph T. After having killed both her husband Atli and their sons, Greidagrira blames the Norns for her misfortunes, as in Greidagrira Narhva paragraph T, where Greidagrira talks of trying to escaping the wrath of the Norns by trying to kill herself, Hama Degreismael. Greidagrira Narhva paragraph T deals with how Greidagrira incited her sons to avenge the cruel death of their sister Svanhild. In Hama Degreismael, her son's expedition to the Gothic king Ermanaric to exact vengeance is fateful. Knowing that he is about to die at the hands of the Goths, her son Zar paragraph RLI talks of the cruelty of the Norns, Sigtrafumael. Since the Norns were beings of ultimate power who were working in the dark, it should be no surprise that they could be referred to in charms, as they are by Sigtrafa in Sigtrafumael, Prose Edda, in the part of Snorri Sturluson's Prose Edda which is called Gylfaginning. Gylfi, the king of Sweden, has arrived at Valhalla calling himself Gangleri. There, he receives an education in Norse mythology from what is Odin in the shape of three men. They explain to Gylfi that there are three main Norns, but also many others of various races, Aesir, elves and dwarves. A hall stands there, fair, under the ash by the well, and out of that hall come three maids, who are called thus, Urd, Verðandi, Skuld. These maids determine the period of men's lives, we call them Norns. but there are many Norns, those who come to each child that is born, to appoint his life. These are of the race of the gods, but the second are of the elf people, and the third are of the kindred of the dwarves, as it is said here. Most sundered in birth, I say the Norns are. They claim no common kin, some are of Aesir kin, some are of elf kind, some are the line's daughters. Then said Gangleri, if the Norns determine the weirds of men, then they apportion exceeding unevenly, seeing that some have a pleasant and luxurious life, but others have little worldly goods or fame. Some have long life, others short. Hara said, good Norns and of honorable race appoint good life. But those men that suffer evil fortunes are governed by evil Norns. The three main Norns take water out of the Well of Urðr and water Yggdrasill. It is further said that these Norns who dwell by the Well of Urðr take water of the well every day, and with it the clay which lies about the well, and sprinkle it over the ash, to the end that its limbs shall not wither nor rot. For that water is so holy that all things which come there into the well become as white as the film which lies within the eggshell, as is here said, I know an ash standing, called Yggdrasill, a high tree sprinkled, with snow-white clay. Thence come the dews, in the dale that fall, it stands evergreen, above Urðr's well. That dew which falls from it onto the earth is called by men honey dew, and thereon are bees nourished. 2 fowls are fed in Urðr's well, they are called swans, and from those fowls has come the race of birds which is so called. Snorri furthermore informs the reader that the youngest Norn, Skuld, is in effect also a Valkyrie, taking part in the selection of warriors from the slain. These are called Valkyrs, the maiden sends to every battle. They determine men's fairness and award victory. Gud and Rankin Kubtar and the youngest Norn, she who is called Skuld, ride ever to take the slain and decide fights. Legendary sagas. Some of the legendary sagas also contain references to the Norns. The Hvarfar saga contains a poem named Lap Paragraph a degree Skvia degree, where the Gothic king Anganta I defeats a Hunnish invasion led by his Hunnish half-brother Lap Paragraph a degree Riama. Knowing that his sister, the shield maiden Hvarfar Paragraph is one of the casualties, Anganta I looks at his dead brother and laments the cruelty of the Norns. In younger legendary sagas, such as Norna Gests a 3/4 a Titia and Hrakubd LFS Saga Kreka, the Norns appear to have been synonymous with Var Paragraph LVAS. In Norna Gests a 3/4 a TTR, where they arrive at the birth of the hero to shape his destiny, the Norns are not described as weaving the web of fate, instead Norna appears to be interchangeable and possibly a synonym of valor. One of the last legendary sagas to be written down, the Hrakubd LFS Saga Kreka talks of the Norns simply as evil witches. When the evil half-elven Princess Skuld assembles her army to attack Hrakubd LFR Kreki, it contains in addition to undead warriors, elves and Norns. Runic inscription N351M. The belief in the Norns as bringers of both gain and loss would last beyond Christianization, as testifies the runic inscription N351M from the Borgundstave Church. Eyjafjörður carved these runes on the eve of a lost mass, when he travelled past here. The Norns did both good and evil, great toil. They created for me. Frank's casket, 3 women carved on the right panel of Frank's casket, an Anglo-Saxon whalebone chest from the 8th century, have been identified by some scholars as being 3 Norns. Theories. A number of theories have been proposed regarding the Norns. Matters and matrons. The Germanic Matters and matrons, female deities venerated in northwest Europe from the 1st to the 5th century AD depicted on votive objects and altars almost entirely in groups of 3 from the 1st to the 5th century AD have been proposed as connected with the later Germanic Dísir, Valkyries, and Norns, potentially stemming from them. 3 Norns. Theories have been proposed that there is no foundation in Norse mythology for the notion that the 3 main Norns should each be associated exclusively with the past, the present, and the future. Rather, all 3 represent destiny as it is twined with the flow of time. Moreover, theories have been proposed that the idea that there are 3 main Norns may be due to a late influence from Greek and Roman mythology, where there are also spinning fate goddesses. Appearances in media and popular culture, music, Viking death metal band Amon Amarth has an album titled Fate of Norns. The band itself has many songs involving Norse mythology. Opera. Norns feature in the prologue of Richard Wagner's opera Gar Paragraph Tterda Currency. Television. The TV series Lost Girl features a Norn as a recurring antagonist. A powerful fae, she is able to make deals, described as granting what others desire most in exchange for that which they hold dearest. In the first season finale, she granted the desire of Dyson a werewolf and the love interest of series protagonist Bo that Bo would gain the strength to defeat her insane mother, but instead of taking Dyson's wolf, she took his love for Bo, leaving him unable to feel love for anyone until the Norn was forced to undo the deal in the second season. The 1990s Disney cartoon Gargoyles features three sisters that are inferred to be Norns. Anime and manga. The main love interest of Oh My Goddess is the Norn Verðandi, rendered as Belandi. Her elder sister Urðr and younger sister Skuld also show up, living with the protagonist Kaiichi Mori Sato and their sister Belandi. Aside from sticking loosely to the theme of Belandi representing the present, the past and Skuld the future, they are only loosely related to their mythic namesakes in this media. The terminals that Yggdrasill from Digimon created for the new digital world experiments consisting 3 layers are named Yulud, Verðandi, and Skuld, which are representing for past, present, and future. Yulud Urðr is a past plane which is a volcanic wasteland, inhabited by dinosaur-type and draconic Digimon. Verðandi is the present region, which is a world of lush greenery and is home to beast, bird, plant and other nature Digimon. Skuld is the future region, a high-tech city where machine and insect Digimon inhabit. The 3 Norns also appear as antagonists in mythical detective Loki Ragnarok, along with various other figures from Norse mythology, including Thor, Heimdall, Freyr, Freyja, Fina, Jormungand, and the eponymous Loki. Video games, Tower of Saviors, Guild Wars and Guild Wars 2, Shin Megami Tensei, Persona 3, Shin Megami Tensei 4, NetHack, see also, Matrons, Moirai, Parsi, Suits, White Sisters, Valkyries, Hecate, Notes. References. External links.